News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. Well, in just a moment, we're going to get into Joe Biden's plans that Axios just reported, discussing plans to strike Iran's nuclear sites if Tehran speeds toward a bomb, even in the last several weeks of his presidency. We'll talk about that and the possibility of it and what you'd like to see us do to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. Or, God forbid, do you maybe think we should just not worry about it and let it happen? I'm a hard pass on that option. 800-288-WBAP is our number. But first, before we get to that, Neo wanted to call in from Stephenville and talk about the potential connection between the NOLA, New Orleans terrorist, and the Vegas bomber. Neo, you're on WBAP. Hello.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey, good. I just wanted to shed a little bit of light on something. First, I'm speaking as a former combat veteran myself.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So it's very uncharacteristic for someone like this to do something like this. Something that I've been looked into. There's a buddy you want to look up on YouTube. He's called Dabu77. It's DAHBOO77. It's not my channel. It's just a guy that informs me. And he made out the connection that both the NOLA attack and the Vegas attack, both of those soldiers went to Fort Bragg.
Yes.
Well, Fort Bragg specializes in PSYOPs.
Okay.
So put the two together. I just thought I'd point that out. I hadn't heard that mentioned on the show yet.
Yeah, there's a few things. Number one, they both served in Afghanistan, I believe, at the same time. But they weren't, supposedly they didn't serve in the same company or outfit or whatever. You know, they didn't intertwine together as far as they're aware. But they did both go to Fort Bragg, which they call Fort Liberty, which they can kiss my rump on that. It's Fort Bragg. And
right.
They both served, and they both rented EVs, and they both rented them from Turo. And I think those are the extent of the similarities. But I hate to allow the government to manipulate me or lie to me, in the media especially, because that's all they've done for the most part over the past 4 to 6 years, at least, right, and beyond. But it seems like it's getting worse. It's gotten worse. But I am believing right now that there is not a connection. And if you have more stuff to share on that, why you think there would be beyond that, I'm listening.
I mean, it's too fishy. This guy was a Green Beret. He was a good dude, and all of a sudden he just turns around and does something like this. Either he was set up, or he was a patsy, or
that's possible. I mean, you never know. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I hate to do the conspiracy theory part, but there's the MK Ultra stuff. I mean, who knows? What's
MK Ultra?
It's this program through the government where they do this kind of like mind control stuff. I know this sounds crazy. But
No. Just say it. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm not off put. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's kind of some weird stuff where they go in, they program your brain to do weird stuff. You'll just have to Google and look into it, but it could be that too. I know it sounds crazy, but
no, I'm listening.
What I'm worried about is more stuff going to go on? Is there going to be more attacks? Before we ramped up to January 20th. I'm just keeping my head on a swivel. I encourage everybody to do the same.
Yes, I think that. Well, first of all, as you have seen, whenever one does it, it usually attracts copycats. And
yes, that's it.
Yeah, and I went through a series of starting in Nice, France, where the terrorist had a box truck, I believe, and he drove through and he killed like 60 or 80 people. Just kept going down the beach and just mowing people over. It was just, that's what satanic radical Islamic terrorism is, and it's evil that must be hit with met with hard power. I mean, that's it, nothing else. And so it started with that, and then the Christmas markets, and then another Christmas market this year, 6 years later, or 8 years, or let me think, 7 years later. It keeps happening. So other ones could be very possible. That's exactly right. And the other thing is we've learned from New Orleans, the chief of police there is an incompetent fool who teaches DEI on the side of the FBI, woke FBI officers or agents. So this woman literally, I don't know if you caught earlier, I played for you, there are these movable portable bollards that can stop a 3-ton truck going 60 miles an hour. And they have...
why were those not deployed before?
Absolutely. They have 46 of them, I believe it is. And she literally admitted in the audio... Here, I can play it for you right now.
Yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk. And that would be to be preventive if someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do, okay? It would slow that down for anyone who thought that they could reach our targets.
Right? Yellow archers, where do they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them.
I didn't know we had them. Do you understand that she could have stopped this with 46 of those?
Yeah.
And
just conveniently forgot to deploy them.
Yes. Now, look, I'm not saying... I literally think she's that much of an idiot and a fool. The woman was fired from the chief of police in Oakland before coming to this job in New Orleans because homicide and violent crime skyrocketed under her watch. And then she scooped up by this thing because she's like, I teach diversity classes. I teach diversity and equity and inclusion. I teach it I teach it at the FBI. And so that's what DEI is. Grandly incompetent tools and fools who couldn't save their butt out of a paper bag, teaching people and protecting us. And this is what you get. I did not know we had them. I chose to leave these people available to be slaughtered. So what that tells me, and what should tell everybody listening, is not to be afraid, but to know that you are your protection. We are all one big soft target, and we can't depend on woke DEI idiots and fools like this, who are the exact opposite of who you would ever want to have in charge of a police department. And she was warned in 2020, or at least the city was, in a report that they asked for, an independent report that said, you are so vulnerable, these bollards are a joke, these things will work, you are not protected. The French Quarter is a fishbowl of crime and opportunity, and Bourbon Street is exceptionally, is highly at risk for somewhere to drive through and mow people over. And this is what you get, this idiot. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I believe it. I mean, 50% of me says that she actually is that stupid.
She is.
And didn't know any better. And 50% says she did it on purpose. I don't know.
No, she literally is an incompetent fool who has the pan flute that plays the diversity tune that they bow down to like a snake, raptured by this DEI Peter Piper garbage. That's all it is. She acts like a soothsayer and some woman of grand intelligence on DEI wokeness, a DEI wizard, and they're captivated by her, but don't realize she's such a damn fool. Appreciate your call, sir. We've got 3 lines open at 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's what DEI gets you in the business of policing. It gets you to DIE. You die for idiots like this to be put in charge of you that cannot and will not protect you because they're not able to, because they're so incompetent, stupid, and foolish. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 3 lines open. We're going to get also into Biden making plans to strike Iran to stop them from having a nuclear bomb if they continue on this route before Trump takes over, and then what Trump should do. All that is next as well on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. And you know what else? One of the things I didn't play for you, I played it earlier in the show. When the New Orleans chief was asked about this, doesn't it make you mad that you didn't have these bollards out, that you weren't aware that... she goes, oh, no, we're not going to play the blame game. Look, we're not going to play... No, we don't do that. No, the police chief said, we're not going to do that. They're out here now, and they're going to help protect lives. Screw the 14 people that died 2 days ago. I forgot about them. I didn't know about them. They're dead. Let's try to save the next people. Now, that's me adding that part on. But she basically said, we're not going to blame. We're not going to be blaming people here. Because it's her. This woman's going to be fired. Give her a few weeks, maybe less. She's going to be fired. And look, I'm talking about the hardest place in the world to get fired, New Orleans, because of their grand corruption and incompetency. 800, somebody's going to take the blame for this, and it's going to be her because she's in charge. It was her duty to know about a study, whether she was there or not in 2020, that the city commission that said how unbelievably vulnerable that street is for this kind of an attack. And to not know that she had 46 of these bollards available to stop the terrorist, even if he was coming in a 3-ton truck at 60 miles an hour. Total failure, total incompetence, total ineptitude. A lot of folks want to chime in on this before we get to the Iran stuff, which is totally cool. 800-288-WBAP is our number. We've got 3 lines open, 800-288-9227. Dan in Kansas, you're on WBAP. Hello.
How you doing tonight?
Very good, sir.
Okay, I used to be an Army mechanic, and so this guy rented a Ford Lightning, which is an EV, which doesn't have engine noise. He came in there quiet. People did not hear him coming. If it would have been a regular vehicle with an engine in it, they would have heard the engine revving, and some people would have jumped out of the way. And I do believe that the carnage would have been less. That's just my opinion.
That's quite possible. But I also think the reason why he chose an EV is because of the weight, which the momentum of that can kill so many more people and withstand so much collision and attack, comparatively speaking, because the weight of an EV is way more than the same vehicle that's not an EV, because the battery adds 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 more pounds than it would if it was a gas car. Second of all, when you slam the gas on the EV, as this guy did, they go very fast. Think of the electric cars we had when we were kids on the track. Remember those Tyco racers, and you never could get it around more than once without it flying off the track. Remember those things? Yeah. It's the same thing. It's an electric motor, right? So you push the gas and boom. And in fact, the guy who blew himself up, the special operator who blew himself up in Vegas, he was some of the text between him and his ex-girlfriend from back in the day. He was texting with her back and forth before he killed himself on his way down or after he had rented it. And she said, "Is it fast?" He goes, "Very." He said, "Oh my gosh, very." Because if it's charged, they don't, have to accelerate. They just go. I mean, they do accelerate, but my understanding is the 0-60 is double or triple probably the time it would be if it's a gas truck like that.
Yeah, my point is, regardless of your point or my point, he was thinking about how much damage to do.
Yes, and how he could do it the best and where he could do it the best.
Absolutely. We're on the same page now.
Appreciate you, my friend. Jerry in Burleson, you're on WBAP. What do you got?
I was just mad. First time I heard, what this idiot did driving down that street, killing all these people. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't believe the incompetence of these police. I mean, there's no excuse for a truck into a crowd like that and just mowing everybody down.
And by the way, real fast, there is a tourist who was there in 2017. I retweeted this, I believe it was yesterday, and he's like, "I took a picture. I have a picture of it. It's not done very well because they obviously it was like a misfire on their camera or whatever, but he still had it. It's a picture of at Canal and Bourbon." A big dump truck filled with sand that they had there for when he was there, he or she was there in 2017 to 2018 for New Year's Eve. In other words, you could just park like they did prior to that, a big dump truck with sand in it. Exactly. You ain't going to get through that. But also, there was just a cop car there, as I'm sure you've seen or heard by now. The video's all over the place. And he just drove around the cop car. He was coming up. The cop car was on the right parallel to it, and they just drove. He turned right into the sidewalk / part of the street and just mowed over those people and went. Whoom! And the people scream and such. So we just went around the cop car, I would guess probably 2 or 3 feet in the street, and then the rest over the sidewalk, driving right through there. Because it looked like there was only one cop car there, if I'm not mistaken, that was blocking the entrance to Bourbon. So we just drove around it.
And to me, that is just total incompetence. There's no difference between this and that shooting down South Texas of all those kids.
Yes, that's
just standing by.
It's grand incompetence. Actually, I'll tell you the difference. No, actually, it's not grand incompetence. The difference between, I'll tell you what happened to Uvalde. I've not changed my position since I started to learn this way back when. It is squarely on the chief of police of Uvalde ISD. Because he is responsible solely, like this chief, for the security of his jurisdiction. In this case, it wasn't the city of New Orleans. In this case, it's the Uvalde ISD. And he went to active shooter training, I think including one a couple months before this happened, and he developed a plan. It's his job to do this, obviously, on how to react in the event of something like this. He got there within a few minutes of it happening, and immediately he immediately chose to do nothing and to listen as kids were slaughtered and teachers, and was afraid to go in there. He was a coward. He was born a coward. And he loved the idea of the laudits and plaudits of being a cop and people kissing his butt. Oh, you're a hero. Thank you for your service. But he knew that he would never be able to run towards bullets, that he was always a coward, but he knew he most likely would never have to face that. But he loved getting his butt kissed and being a cop. So
Chris, I don't.
And he was the incident commander, even though he lies to this day and says he wasn't. He was there on the scene towards the very, very, very beginning, and it's his job to be in charge of that district. Go ahead, sir.
I mean, since Columbine, I remember Columbine when it was happening. I could not believe those cops did not go in there when they were doing the shooting. I'm way back, when all this crap started. I couldn't believe that they weren't going in there.
After it happened, that's when it changed everything, and the command from whether it be the Justice Department and the FBI, also police officers, chiefs across this country, was you go towards the shooting and you do everything to kill that terrorist. You stop the threat immediately. So this was not a question. This was established years ago. And this is what's trained to all officers out there. There's no question about this. This guy was a coward, and that's why he didn't go in, and he was the incident commander who tried to not be the incident commander.
No, I just don't understand.
He's a coward.
Police who, I mean,
and think of it this way too. Think of it this way too.
Should run into it.
Oh yes, but listen, can you imagine? You get there, and he's the chief of police for the school district, and he's there. I mean, you're gonna say, "Screw you, get out of my way, I'm going in there." Somebody has to be in charge, calling the shots, and it was him, and he didn't do anything. And he said, "We're gonna stay here, we stay here." And if you see some of the video, he's there. He's going, "Stay here. We're taking cover. We're that kind of stuff." He's a coward. He's petrified. To me, that's not incompetence in any way, shape, or form. That is cowardice. Yeah, and he was in charge, and he chose to not be in charge and pretend that he wasn't in charge when it was his damn district. Excuse my language. And this one in New Orleans is grand. It's just total incompetence. That's all it is, because she's a DEI wokelet. Got to roll, Jerry. God bless you, and thank you for your call, sir. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I'll tell you what, we're going to pause the Iran thing. I don't want to get into the Iran thing now. I want to have a little bit of fun. We have two things. We have caught on camera. A driver watches a movie on his steering wheel hours into the new year. I will be playing that for you. We'll be talking about that. I'll be playing a little bit of audio for you on that. But then also we have one killed and 4 injured on possible road rage crash. But let's talk about the camera. Caught on camera driver watching a movie while driving. Unbelievable. We'll talk about that next. It's Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Okay, so this is quite something. You have a person who is driving and they see somebody in a car next to them watching a movie. And it's on their phone, and they have the phone literally on their steering wheel, like in the middle of the steering wheel, so they can look at it while they're supposed to be driving. And so this person is recording it in awe. Like, oh, I can't believe somebody's doing this. And then eventually, by the way, the driver that is driving with while watching the movie notices that somebody is, this person is recording it and flips them off as if they've done something wrong. I guess for being intrusive on a public road, by the way, right? So, it's a public road, and there you are driving while watching a movie. So let's play this, some pieces of audio of this from people that are witnesses or people that have an opinion about this. Here we go.
Watching a movie while driving is definitely like the next level of incompetency.
I just think how easy it is that, they could end the life or their life could end. Because I had a friend that, I don't know if you know the 5 kids that died in Topgolf. My best friend was actually the one that was driving, and they didn't result from that. But I think about how easily it is to, lose your life in the car. So
People watching the road, even on not being on their phones, are already dangerous. So it's pretty sketchy, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't think it's incompetence like the first guy said. I think it's a choice to be a very dangerous driver, choosing to take a high risk. It's distracted driving to the umpteenth degree. It's impaired driving. If you're not looking at the road, you might as well be drunk or something. So, just hours in the new year, this report says. A driver on a Pine Ridge Road caught on a camera, this is in Florida, with his phone propped up on a steering wheel fully focused on a movie. The driver said he couldn't stay in his lane. When he realized the guy was being filmed, his reaction, as I told you, was he flipped off the camera. And this is not an isolated case. 3 years prior to that, a woman was caught on camera doing the exact same thing. In another instance, a man was recorded driving in a Tesla while reading a book. And he would say, well, it's self-driving, which I would say, great. You might kill me or my kid because you were reading instead of looking at the computer that was driving for you. Because computers are not perfect. They don't recognize everything. Well, Chris, I paid all this money for this Tesla, so I don't want to look while I'm driving. Well, they don't drive. Because guess what? We're going to prosecute you, not the computer, if you kill somebody. So here's my question for you. Have you seen people watching something on their phone or some other distraction like that while driving, reading, texting, makeup maybe? And have you ever watched something while you're driving? Ever do that? Watching something while you're driving? Or texted? It's a very dangerous game that many of us play sometimes, don't we? Looking at our phones, texting, keep hitting some buttons on there, and you're like, I'm going to kill somebody. I better look up at this. What am I doing? And how are these people driving? When you're seeing people, catching them watching movies or staring at their phones while they're driving, how are they driving? And what scary things have you seen in their driving while distracted like this? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. Chime in right now. We can pop you on. We got several minutes here. I have seen people. I think the worst thing I've ever seen is I've seen people with these. Some people get these aftermarket screens that are massive instead of the one that comes with the car that's whatever. 5 inches by 5 inches or something, whatever. I'm just making up a number here. They have ones that are like 10 inches by 10 inches, but it's like cheap too. It's like that thing's going to bust off in a couple of years anyways. It's just like some cheap throwing some stupid thing up on there, but I saw people with pornography playing on, like overt pornography, driving around. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What kind of a sick person would do that? What kind of a message are they sending? That's just a sick person. I would want nothing to do with that person driving around doing that. What you do in the privacy of your home is your home, but that's a person you want to avoid on the road. They probably don't have insurance, and they probably have a lot of illegal things on board. Yeah. Wow. I ride on the highway every night going home and every day going in. And the worst I've seen is particularly at the time I go home. I'm going home at midnight. And I've seen people on any given weeknight. I've seen people staring at their phones and that whole face glow, like the faces aglow because they're staring at their phone. It's literally between them and the steering wheel, and they're looking at their phone, and I see them swerving over. And and you can tell. And so really, isn't it just like drunk driving? It is, isn't it? 800-288-WBAP is our number. I mean, do the phone control you, or do you control the phone? Now, one of my former executive producers, David, who's a dear friend of mine still, he has a thing that sends a message to you that he's driving and he's not responding. I would like to do that on mine. I just don't know how to do that. I don't. I'm not as smart as he is. Dan and McKinney, you're on WBAP. Hello, Dan.
Hello, and I listened to you when you were filling in for Casey the other day, too.
Well, thank you.
I'm on the road a lot. Here in Texas I live, and then when I travel to California, and I am behind cars, and when they're texting or distracted with a phone because they start swerving back and forth in the lanes. And I typically back away a little bit, and if they're going crazy, I'm flashing my brights on them if it's night. And then they speed up, and I've gotten flipped off a bunch of times in California. But yeah, it's very obvious, and it's happening more and more.
Yes,
I mean I see it happening more and more now, and I've seen some sideswiped. I almost got sideswiped by a guy that was texting, and it's just you got to be very alert when you're driving out there.
I agree. Now, for me personally, I don't flash my lights at them and all that stuff like you do, because you just don't know who these people are. And I do concealed carry, but I still don't care. I don't want to get into it with somebody and end up dead on the side of the road because somebody ran me off the road, or vice versa.
Well, yeah, but I'm one of those kind of guys that likes to jump into the fire. And I was the guy on that American Airlines flight that had to land in Tulsa because the guy was vaping on the plane, and I'm the one that stood up between him and the flight attendant.
Shut up! You stood up. You're the one who stood up between him and the flight attendant.
Yeah, and I was the only person that did it. And I asked everybody when we landed in Tulsa or Oklahoma City. I said, "How come nobody else got up?" And they said, "We thought you were an air marshal." I said, "No, I'm not an air marshal.
Just a man with a pair of balls." Hey,
right.
Hey, tell me this. Tell us what happened on that story again, real fast. Give us the blow by blow.
Yeah, I was in the bulkhead. There's only two rows in first class. So I was in the bulkhead right behind first class, and I saw the guy vaping. And the flight attendant looked at me, and she made the motion to me, "Is he vaping?" And I said, "Yeah." So then she approached him. She was a young flight attendant, and he stood up and pushed her. I jumped out of my seat, jumped in front between him and her. She was shaking. She was a new flight attendant, and I said, "You need to sit down. I'm going to put you down." And so I asked the flight attendant where the handcuffs were, or the restraints, or whatever, and she had them ready. And I said, "If you keep moving, I'm going to put these restraints on you." And she called the pilot, and we had to divert and land in Oklahoma City.
Okay, tell me what airline was this?
American Airlines.
Okay,
from Milwaukee back to Dallas, yeah.
Milwaukee to Dallas, hold on. Dallas, and then it was vape.
Yep.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Home City. Let's see here, buddy. Here it is, K4 TV, which is the big station there. Here we have it. I wonder if it's got the video on it. It probably does.
He was videotaping me and swearing at me.
She was swearing at you and videotaping you.
Yeah, and he was pushing me. But the flight attendants were very thankful, and they gave me hugs and stuff. When we stopped, the sheriff came on, took him off, and then I had to do a little, information and stuff like that. What's funny is American Airlines said that the passengers assisted. I'm like, no, not passengers, passenger.
Amen. Listen, I'm proud of you, and I'm going to see if I can dig that up online here, because I'm proud of you.
Just say
That's
vaping
good.
American Airlines. You'll find it. It was in the Dallas News, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
vaping American Airlines. Hold on. Vaping American Airlines. I almost want to be here with you. Hold on. American Airlines. All right, I'll pull it up. All right, thank you for your call. Appreciate you. I appreciate what you did, brother. Thank you. All right, take care. Dan and McKinney. I love this guy. All right, I'll play it for you coming up next if I can find it. And then Nathan and Saginaw, Mike and Cleburne, you guys are next. 3 lines open. We are talking about people who are literally, here we go, people watching movies, something on their phone, or just staring at the phones while they're driving. Have you seen people watching something on their phone or some other distraction while driving? Have you ever watched something? Have you ever watched something personally while you were driving? I hope not, but maybe you have, or gotten distracted. And how are these people driving when they're doing this? What scary things have you seen in their driving while distracted like this? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. All right. I think I finally found it here. We'll see if they have the actual video on here of the vape. I don't
Texas.
know. I'll let the commercial play it and we'll see if it pops up from the New York Post. But yeah, it's definitely all over there. Very interesting. It's hard to find the video, though. It happened in September of this year. I'm like, dang. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Hold on.
We have first the issues with the planes, the Boeing issues that we've seen lately.
She's yammering on about something else. Oh, well. I hate when they have clickbait and they don't have the actual video on it. Oh, well. Okay, so it definitely happened just a couple months ago. 4 months ago, maybe. All right, we're talking also about caught on camera. Driver watches movie on steering wheel hours into the new year. Have you seen people watching something on their phone or some other distraction while driving, reading, texting, etc.? And have you ever watched something while you were driving or texted? And how are these people driving? What are the scary things you've seen in the drive while driving while distracted? What are the scary things you see? I can't talk. The scary things you see these people doing while driving distracted like that. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Let's see here. Let's go first to Nathan in Saginaw. Oh, there he is. There's Nathan in Saginaw. How are you, my man?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good. I was thinking about you randomly the other night. I thought about you and I chuckled to myself. Where is that man? Here you are.
Well, I was going to tell you that a long time ago I was driving an 18-wheeler in New Mexico, and this is back in 1980, so didn't have fancy phones and things like that. But,
right.
Well, you could see miles and miles down this 2-lane highway,
mm-hmm.
and I was going down there, and way up ahead I could see this car coming, and it kept getting over into my lane a little bit and riding the line and jerking over, and I thought, well, what's going on here? So I geared down and then got a little closer and still riding the white line and coming over into my lane a little bit, and I geared down, and closer it got, further it got into my lane. So I started getting over on the shoulder,
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And then it got even closer and closer, and I geared down again and a couple of times, and trying to get slow. And I got on my horn and started honking,
Yes.
And it was 110 degrees out there that day. And so this car, it had its windows up and air conditioner blowing, And finally, I was just crawling along. Sure enough, it was nearly squared off ahead of me,
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a cab over, so I was prepared for a crash. I was sure we were going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
So it got so close that I raised my legs up. I didn't want to, trying to protect them if I could. And horn, blowing that horn. And at the last minute, she jerked the wheel over and got back into her lane. And as she went by, I could see that she had a map on her.
Oh my God!
On her steering wheel, and she was reading that map as she's going down the daggum road.
Why would you want to pull over on a stop? We call it why would you want to pull over on a rest stop when you can just keep looking at the map while you're driving? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? You might die doing it, but it makes sense.
Well, you pull over in a rest stop or before you take your trip or something and write it down on a little piece of paper and then...
And did you say there was a female driver?
Yeah.
I am shocked. I am shocked, sir.
It just happened to be, I mean, that's just what I saw.
I know. I was just being funny. Nathan, thank you for that great story. I felt like I was there with you in the cab.
Well, I'm glad you weren't.
And then, are you sipping on your beer? Are you? Oh, wait, hello. Are you sitting on your beer now? You drinking your beer? Oh, he's gone already. Okay, Mike in Cleveland. You're right. He usually sips a certain beer type. You're on WBAP. Hello, Mike. What do you got?
What's going on, man?
What's up?
This one New Year's Eve, I came to Cleveland to pick up this girl and was driving back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was behind this guy on 67 when it was just 2 lanes. And he was doing 40 in a 60, right?
Yes.
And all I could see through his back glass was him on his phone. Right? So I'm flashing him. I'm honking at him. I'm flashing my brights. A state trooper was coming the other way and flipped around and pulled me over for flashing my bright lights.
Oh, boy. Did you tell him what happened?
Yeah, I was like, this dude's doing 40 in a 60. There's 30 cars backed up behind me. I'm trying to wake this guy up to get him off his phone. Of course, what's he going to do? Let me go and then go chase this guy down?
I don't know. What did he do?
He took me into his car and gave me a what for, and was like, well, I could arrest you for this and this. I'm like, no, you can't. And it's like, well, if you're just going home, then I was like, I've not even been drinking yet. But
did you say yet?
Yeah. It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, okay. I got it. It's all good, too. I'm just being funny. So, okay, so he yelled at you. Did he ticket you or not?
No, he didn't ticket me for anything, but he's like, it's illegal to flash your lights.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's... I don't do that. I did stuff like that when I was younger, but I just figure out how to get around them and stuff. I admit that I'll tailgate sometimes. It's like, get out of the way, if you're in the fast lane and stuff. Well, I guess we all learn a lesson. Whether they're good lessons or bad lessons, I don't know. Thank you, Mike.
Well, it was a Dodge Charger when the first Chargers came out, so it was like a hot rod. It's like, dude, you're doing 40 and a 60, and you got 30 cars backed up.
Yeah. No, that's not cool. I agree with you. But maybe, you ever think that maybe he had something very important he was doing on his phone?
Well, shouldn't he pull over and take care of it?
Well, I don't know. It's just so important sometimes. You got to just keep focused. It's too important, sir. Very important.
Well, if it's important, then you got to giddy up and do at least the speed limit and go get things done, right?
But what you're doing on your phone is more important than that.
No, driving is more important.
No. You got it backwards, sir. The phone is more important than driving. I'm just kidding. That's what they think, I guess. Appreciate your call, sir. Exactly right, brother. My wife and I do that all the time. I'm like, no. She kind of does my line too now. We'll be driving like, oh look, and then he's get off his phone. No. It's very important. You know, he's got important business. Let the man do his business while he's driving. That's what we like to say in the car while we see these idiots.